Hey, everybody. Welcome to our discussion on the power of a tribe, aka a community, friends, you pick your term, on the power of a tribe in preparing for and maintaining a healthy marriage. So to be clear, I think we all agree there's a lot of great benefits to community, to having a tribe. There's loads of them. But we're specifically focusing on the aspect of how it prepares us for marriage or how it helps us maintain a healthy marriage. Okay, so I want to welcome all my lovely friends here, who are part of my tribe. And let me just say they have, they are powerhouses. So if you all could just introduce yourselves tell us a little bit about yourselves, and also why are you here? Why are you here for this conversation and so forth? So whoever wants to start, go for it.
I could go.
I'll pick. Great, Sally.
All right, so I'm Giselle. Well, government name Griselda Abreu, also known as Giselle. I have 3 kids. I've been married for 12 years. Well, we've been together for 16. Yeah, I think. After 10, you kind of like count a long time. Yeah, right. So I have three girls, 14, 9, and almost 8-month-old already. Actually, yeah, she'll be 8 months on the 9th. And I'm here because part of showing up is part of being part of a tribe. So you had to show up. So and every single lady here has been I don't know, like I can't even use the right term, because you guys have been kind of like what I need it every single part, every single time, and every single, in every single season since I've known you ladies. I was kind of like reflecting back on how long we've been knowing each other. And I know that we kind of like met around, similar timelines. And I was like, wait a minute, I think it was 2017. But it feels like I've known you guys forever though. Like it feels like it's been so much longer. I was like, wait a minute, 17, that's like 4 years. I'm like, nah, it feels like, yeah, it feels like our sisterhood has been like for a long time, like 10 years plus. So you guys have been awesome, and and I'm just excited to be part of this conversation, and get hear from all of you, and then kind of like share a little bit of my experience as well.
Yay.
Yes.
Love it. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So my name is Jessica Jones. Yes, the Marvel. No. Jessica Jones. Jess, you can call me, right? I am single and ready to mingle. Never been married.
Amen. Mm-hmm.
What else? I have about 30 children every day between the hours of 8 and 2. No, but I am here because it's divine. I believe I've told you guys that. You guys are an answered prayer from, now it's 16. I prayed for people that I could grow with on this journey with the Lord, and just relate to people of different backgrounds from different places, races. And so that's really why I'm here, because it's really a divine connection, is what I like to call it. And I'm just grateful. You guys are, just like Giselle said, you guys have been through several things with me regarding in my life, particularly when my dad died. And just, you guys are always there to give advice, shoulder to lean on. We love to laugh. And so, yeah, I'm here because I love you.
Mm.
Oh, I love that so much.
Love you too.
Mhm.
Mm.
Oh, I'm feeling like I'm bursting with love now, so I'll go. I'm here because it's funny. Literally, what I was thinking when you asked that question, Ruth, is exactly what Giselle said. I was like, because we show up. That's what we do. Um, I mean, the reality is when you have a certain caliber of friends who've earned their place in your life and who you took a chance with and it went well. I mean, literally letting them into the deeper places, letting them see you, them having the same type of openness. You want to show up because you know that the things they ask you to do is only going to better you.
Mm.
And so, yeah, that's a trusted, hands down. There's so many areas of my life where I've said yes to something. I'm like, I haven't done that before this group and this relationship, but because it's y'all, I'll be, and so that's consistent. So that's why I'm here.
Ooh. What
Mm.
you
Who are you?
yeah.
Thank you, Farah. And that's Farah, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I didn't say anything about. I'm sorry.
Farah. That's Farah.
3 things about myself. Led by the love. My name is Farah.
Also, say the love.
Been a cog girl though for 6 years as of October 12th.
Yay.
It's your anniversary.
Yeah, childless at the moment, but hoping that will change in the near future. What else? I'm a mental health therapist by day and children's ministry director by Sunday. And
can I just add our mental health therapist as well?
Yes.
Add
Word.
that to
Yes. Helping us through a lot.
Wow.
I love Jesus. I love my friends. I love my family. And yeah, that's it.
Mm. Good work.
Well, I feel so delicate. I had to put that out there. Why am I here? I am here.
Who are you?
Well, I was gonna say
Okay,
it.
all right. My bad.
Okay,
Sorry.
fine.
Let you
Okay,
roll. Let you roll.
I am Sharnice.
Nisi Poo, Sharnisi Poo.
Shar.
And I am, what am I?
Such a deep
You know why? The reason why I say that is because, we've done this journey together, and so many times we as women, when you ask like, what do you do? What's your purpose? It's always tied to your job. And one thing that I have learned through you all actually is that no matter what we're doing, no matter what job we're doing, God made us who we are. And so I guess I'll go that way. Who am I? I am a person who loves big. I'm a person who loves the Lord, who loves the Word of God, who loves exploring the Word of God with others. I love bringing people together. And I really love creating an opportunity where iron can sharpen iron, because I've seen what happens as you grapple with something, the aha moments and the what happens after that is so amazing. So, by day, I am an educational consultant. And by all day,
I was like, by night,
I am a person. I know, right?
Monday through Saturday.
Sorry. Everything else kind of flows from there. But I can also say that I wasn't always like that. I was very insecure. And it was kind of through life's journey, but really in the season where we all met, it kind of opened up the door for me to kind of use those gifts and grow into them. And so one of the things that, the word says
if you want to be a friend, you must first show, if you want to have friends, you must first show yourself friendly. And so I think of some of the things that I intentionally try to do with my friends, and that's to see them, to hear them, and to value them. And I think this group has really reciprocated that in so many ways that's beyond my beyond my comprehension and beyond the prayer that I prayed in order for that to come to fruition. So I'm just grateful for you all. And that's why I feel so delicate. Y'all fill my love bucket every time y'all come together.
So I have a question, but Ruth, do you have questions already lined up?
Go ahead.
No, guys. I really want to know. So, and help me to phrase this question right? If it's not. When did you know, like, you know how like you asked about your husband or your wife, you're like, when did you know? When did you guys know, like, yeah, this is the group right here. This is my friend group that I'm sticking with. Yeah, we gonna ride till the wheels fall off, whatever that means, right? But yeah, when did you know? Like, when was it solidified? Like, yeah, these are my sisters. Yes.
Well, with Farrah and I, it was a hug in the basement of our chapel at Bennett College.
That's right.
During student Christian fellowship. We were saying goodbye and we're like, oh, let's give each other a hug. And we both started crying.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes a hug.
I guess it was something. Yeah, it was. I guess it was. I don't even know what we were talking about. Do you remember what the topic?
Not at all. Not at all. I only remember the hug.
Yeah, it was just like, but it felt like home. It felt like, you know, that's what it felt like. It felt like home. That I could fully be myself and be seen, be heard, be valued. And when those three things come together, it's like, okay, this is my lifetime sister. I guess that's the same reason why my husband, why I connected with him as well, because even at friendship, it was being seen, being valued, being heard. And I didn't put that cycle together until today. So thank y'all ladies for asking that question. I think for our group as a whole, I think at Ruth's house, for prayer, I walked in for the first time. I took the journey.
Yeah, you did.
The trek. But then when I walked in, I sat next to you, Jess, and between being able to fully worship the Lord in a place of safety and peace and be yourself and worship with others and not feel like insecure, I was like, okay, I need to surround myself with this atmosphere more often. And so just being able to be fully vulnerable with you all and take those risks, right?
Wow.
And to be accepted each time I took the risk, it created a safe space for me to say, yeah, y'all are my people.
Amen.
I mean, thank you for reminding me, Sharnice, of those times. Like, yeah, definitely the bi-monthly prayer at Ruthie's, right? And I mean, I will have to take it back, of course, because it was first Farrah and then Sharnice. That's like the order. And definitely connecting it to King, of course, you know, which, you know, that's how it started for me. And then, of course, Ruthie's house for prayer. And then, we were pioneers with the remote book club.
Oh. Right, we were ahead of our time.
Started in 2017. We were like ahead of the game when it comes to that. So that definitely allowed, I was always looking forward to that. How we were doing it? Is it what was once a month or we were doing it weekly?
It was bi-weekly.
Every 2 Thursdays.
Yeah. I was looking forward. Wasn't it Mondays at first? We were doing it, I think Mondays. I'm trying to remember.
Yes, fervent
Mondays.
Mondays. Perfect Mondays. Yep.
That's right. And I think that was the first book that we started. I think,
Yeah.
and then we went to, I think it was Farah. Yeah. So anyway, I'm all over the place, but I'm kind of like reminiscing, and it's coming back to me. And going back to what Shani said is like, I always have, and I've grown to kind of like allow myself to be a little more vulnerable and open up to people. Of course, I'm always scanning to like, is it safe, is it not safe? So I feel that with this group, it just felt so organic and so natural, that letting my guards down was just like, I was doing it without realizing it. And I think
Right.
that, going back to our Fervent Mondays, I was looking forward to them, and hearing from all the women, because we had a pretty big group from all over the country, because I remember it was from all over the country. And I was looking forward to it, hearing from everyone actually everyone in the group. We had like some deep conversations that involved tears and prayers, and
Yeah.
so I think that set the tone for me to like kind of say, you know what, this is the tribe, this is the group that I belong. And like Jessica said at the beginning, an answered prayer. And I think that we were all at some point in our lives praying to have a group of friends like this, and say, oh, actual.
Right.
This is the group. And like I said, the fact that I'm looking at the screen, I'm like, wow, like this is like, we are so diverse. We are, I mean, in age, we're similar, right? But we do come from different backgrounds, different life experiences. And we are also in different life journeys, and how God allows us to not only pour, into each other's, season, right? And we encourage each other, and that stuff for me has just, number one, like Shanice mentioned about like, dealing with insecurity. I believe it or not, I deal with that every single day, but I know that being part of this group has helped me grow in that area. And just reflecting back in those moments where, even during difficult times, we had each other's back, and we had someone like to, cry and just let it all out, and having sister friends pray for you and with you through the journey. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm grateful for. And that's how I knew, like for the beginning, like it felt natural and organic. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think for me, yeah, it kind of happened almost individually with each of you, or, I think there was sort of a collective moment, but I know, Jess, you and I bonded at Fast Break, but, I didn't necessarily think or know at that time, like, yeah, we would be lifelong friends. But there was definitely this immediate connection, and Farah and I had that immediate connection. We were met at the barbecue, and when I invited you to the prayer group, and you were like, oh my gosh, yes, I was like, a lot of people are like, yes, and I was like, we'll see if she shows up, kind of thing. And then you did, and you brought Sharnice, and immediately when I heard Sharnice singing in my apartment during that prayer time, I was like, what's going on? Like, I was like, wow. I can't remember, Giselle, were you at that one, or was it later?
I think it was later that I joined. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was doing it was around during this time. It was like the fall season.
Right.
Right after we had started the Fervent Mondays.
Potlucks and stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I remember a significant moment was at that time of my life. I was feeling like I knew a lot of women were coming into my apartment for prayer, but I was feeling very lonely, and definitely feeling like, to use a phrase that we love to use these days, I was lacking purpose partners. That's not the phrase I used in my head at the time, but I was looking for people, or craving people that I could like serve with, and not just people to like have in my apartment and do this and then be like, bye, but people that I was like wanted to do life with. I don't know if I could verbalize all of that, to be honest, but I just knew I was very lonely. And so I remember a significant moment was when, after I had met Farah and Sharnice and Jess, Sharnice invited me to be a part of the Fervent Book Club. And you had no idea at the time of like how much I was craving for people to reach out to me, because I was doing a lot of reach out. And I I was craving someone who was just like, I want you to come do, I was like, yes. Sharnice was like, oh, our church is having this outreach too. Whoever wants to be a part of that, I was like, yes. So, I showed up to Sharnice's church, didn't, only knowing Farah and Sharnice for like a second, and knew a little bit about the King guys, but I really didn't know anybody. And how the three of us just like clicked and bonded. It was like very significant to me, but I will say I battled with a lot of insecurity of just like, these women are too cool. They probably have loads of friends and don't need anymore. And there's no room for me in their life. And so I will just say, I'll say this moment, and I think it represents kind of our group. Okay. But it was a prayer group. And I think only Farah was at that one. And, right after prayer ends, a lot of the ladies leave. And I don't mean this meanly, but I kind of wanted them to leave, because it was like, all right, I want the rest of my day. I want to like do my thing. And Farah hung back, and she just stayed. And we ended up talking for like 2 or more hours, probably post that. And I think that's when it really hit me. I was like, oh, she thinks I'm her friend, like it was like this. It really like clicked with me of like, oh, she wants to like hang, and I wanted her to, and I didn't want her to leave. You know what I'm saying? And I think that kind of represents you all, of like this, you all don't exhaust me. It's like you all are home to me, family to me. So I'm not looking for you all to be like, it was like, oh, women to do life with, and we share a lot of the same vision and passions and pursuits. We can, like Farah said, show up for each other and speak into one another's gifts. And so I think it was really kind of more in that fall where I was like, oh, wait. And it was all of us kind of coming together at that same time, where it was like, these ladies are like, they like me, you know what I mean? And I like them. And I know it sounds very middle schoolish, but I really had to battle those middle school insecurities of friendship, and that you all actually wanted to be my friend. And that was very powerful to me.
And I feel like we can get there even now when we go to each other's homes and we're talking. It's like, ooh, we could just stay with each other forever and just talk and laugh. That's what, not really, junior high schoolers do that. But I like that feeling with you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
That high school, like, oh, let's just talk about everything. So yeah.
And that's a good point. That's a good point that you ladies made. And when it comes to insecurities and like, usually, as a mom and as a working mom, I want to be portrayed as like, oh, I got it together kind of thing, but I don't have it together. And then being okay with like, okay, yeah, there's a mess in my house, and what? And of course I don't feel like that with anyone who I welcome. Like, if I know people are coming over, I'm like, oh my God, I'm cleaning. But I mean, with that being said, it's like, okay, like, you guys are like my sister. They're like, oh yeah, come over,
Right.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like, yeah, and I thank you, Ruthie, for making the connection with like high school, middle school, kind of like you're trying to like, oh wait, I hope they think I'm cool.
It was real. I have vivid memories of literally having to force myself of like, I was afraid of rejection,
Mm.
and having to talk myself down from that of like, because I see that I mean, every one of our jobs on here, we all have seen that with the people we work with. And I had to remind myself, like, you see these insecurities played out with your students and they're irrational. You know what I mean? Like, they're not true most of the time. And so I had to kind of like get right, understand that, think it through, literally talk myself through that and be like, message them. Like, it really was like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we all kind of experienced that, but I think that's where I was going when I said, you know, to be seen, to be heard, to be valued, because I was taking risks every single day, like, okay, I'm gonna try. And it was because I was, when I met you all, minus Farah, well, Farah met me at another insecurity life season, but anyway,
Right.
but um I was taking risks all the time, just being myself, because growing up, being myself caused me to be bullied. And so taking those risks and being accepted. And then I'll also add on the layer, being challenged to be your full self at all times. Because I will never forget when Jess was like, oh yeah, so you're gonna sing on with Fast Break. And yeah, you're going to lead worship. Like, what?
Yes.
Just put us in out of our comfort zones all the time.
Regularly.
But actually that kind of spearheaded, because after that fast break is when I was asked at church to start leading praise and worship. So it was kind of like, oh, well, she put me out there in the deep water, and where feet may fall, and the Lord caught me. You see the song? Yeah, the song. That was corny. It was corny.
That's cute.
Feet may fall, but
We got it. We
we actually sang that song, didn't we? I think we did. Anyway, so yeah, just being able to take those risks and still be accepted and loved and not bullied, so to speak. And I don't know if I said this, I was trying to get there, but when I met you all, that was even me getting out of an adult bullying situation. So it just was like, you know, this was just really a godsend.
Before Farah goes, remember how, you know how Lateris does, if I could name this episode, I actually would name it Friends That Show Up, honestly.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yes, we can talk about that later, but your turn, Farah.
Love that. Love it. Yeah, I think I was trying to figure out the most concise way to put it, but I mean, it was definitely very individual. But then because it was individual and because everybody liked each other, I was like, yes, that doesn't always happen. You have different don't, like, I don't want to put those people in the same room. I don't want to. That would be special for me, special for them. And I was so glad that there was difference of opinion. I was so glad that there was difference of culture. I was so glad that there were different phases of our lives, because it was like just enough overlap and not too much.
Yeah.
Where there was room. Like we don't smother each other. We don't, you know, we didn't finish each other's sentences because there was still so much to learn, and there still is. So I like that. I mean, I think we kind of have, you know, ideas of what we'll say, but I mean, but the reality is, our lives are so uniquely different, and this space of life is so uniquely different. You know, because like, you know, the difference between like meeting friends at school, I mean, you're put in a situation, your neighbor is your best friend.
Right.
You know, the person who sits 3 seats from you is probably your other best friend, because that's where they are. But this felt unique because we didn't exactly meet because we live next door and because we work together. We didn't.
Right.
And, you know, again, the fact that our lives still sort of, we wanted the same thing and ultimately, and I think that distinct quality, and I think this is how I pick my friends, period, now, is that it's kind of like, what do you want in life?
Mhm.
And where are you going? And I don't mean how much money do you make, and I don't mean, there's so many things I don't mean by that. And there's
Right.
only one small thing I mean by that. And so people who, because you don't need perfect friends and you don't need people who have perfect lives or who think they do. That, trust me, that's the person you don't want to be friends with at all.
Right.
But I really felt like we ultimately want the most out of our lives, and we ultimately want to see that in other people's lives, and
Yeah.
that looks a certain way. And so and it values the same thing. So that, I think, for me was like, whew. So if I say something that's out of whack, I know that I'll be reeled in gently. I knew that if I made a mistake in my life, that it wouldn't be this like shock moment. It would be more of a love moment, and I want to understand what's happening. And having that in each person and in each relationship, and the fact that everybody wanted that with each other was like, this is better than what I could have prayed for. So yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, you
that's
guys are good.
amazing. That's a
Yes,
great
thank you.
question.
No, really. Yeah, because we talking about like insecurities and just how you guys met a need, right? Um, growing up in school, had a lot of friends, and I think even as an adult, if someone said, "Oh, just like she has a lot of friends," right?
Mhm.
But I think I got to a certain place where I just didn't want to just call people friend and use it loosely, which I felt like I was doing for a very long time. And so I think when I turned like 28, I was like the phrase quality over quantity kept coming to my head, like my mind.
Mm, mm,
And I knew that I didn't want to use it because I would be like, oh yeah, my friend, and mind you, I just met the person like 2 days ago. I'm like, my friend. No, I didn't want to do that anymore. And I wanted, in addition, I grew up an only child. So I did appreciate friends and having people around, but I wanted a solid group, sisterhood. And so for me, what you guys do and what I felt like I was not getting from maybe previous friendships or just period was people who listened.
mm,
So I felt like I was talking, but it's like, why is nobody listening to me? Like, why is nobody understanding? Right. And for various reasons that could have been, but for you, all of you are very good listeners. And when you listen, you give good like feedback. Like it's intentional and you understand me and whatever the craziness that goes along with me. But you guys are and so yeah, that's what I appreciate. That's what I feel like I was yearning for, just
mm.
to be heard.
Yeah.
And you guys definitely make me feel like I'm heard and that I'm needed and wanted and like, oh, I like her being a part of my life or whatever. But yeah, I really do appreciate you guys. Definitely sisters that I never had.
Yes.
Honestly, we don't talk every day, all day, but I know that I can literally pick up the phone and if I need something or I have an issue, you guys are gonna listen and help me out in some way, shape, or form. So yeah.
That actually, what you were saying just kind of brings us directly in with our topic, because before we start talking about how having a tribe benefits or prepares you for marriage or helps you keep a healthy one,
I
we
forgot that was the
about
topic.
that's my job. No worries.
Go,
But
go.
we have to define what a tribe is, because, or a community, because
Yeah.
I agree with you, Jess, that I had friends. It's not like I don't have, I have lots of friends, right? And for sure over seasons of my life, I've had friends in this season, and we're still friends, right? But that wasn't with you all, there was a difference in that you all required me and I say that in a good way, required me to open up.
Mm.
And so just you talk about listening, you all have created a safe space for me to be honest. And so I actually would love for us to share maybe a moment or something like that about that, because for me, as I was thinking on this topic, I was thinking about some moments where, for example, since we're being transparent and open, a few years ago, I was telling you all about a man that I was interested in. And at this particular moment, it was just me, Shar, and Farah. Though, Jess, you also did similar things with me as well, with what I'm about to share. But Sharnice specifically asked me, do you think this man is who God is calling you to marry? Do you feel like God has said, this is who you're going to marry? And I was very scared to say my answer. And so I gave a very diplomatic, like, roundabout answer. And Sharnice was like, I can't remember the exact words, but it was something to the effect of, I feel like you're giving me a fake answer.
Call her out.
Yeah, I did not say it like that. I did not say it like that.
How did you say it, John?
You share with everyone what you said.
Let's get it from the
I don't
source.
remember fully what I said, but I know I did not say, no, that was a fake answer.
You said something like, I feel like you're
holding back or something.
Holding
like that.
back.
Or you're not telling us something. Or Farah, what did I say, girl? I just didn't say that. Did I say that?
You know, I don't
Sorry if I said it like that.
I don't know. I just know it was loving and intentional.
It was loving, but it was loving, but it was also it was forceful in the sense that you weren't like, oh, all right. I mean, I think it's a little, no, you were like, you were dead on, made it clear to me that this is a safe space and I want to know your real answer.
Mm-hmm.
And Jess, you had also asked me a similar question. I was very afraid. And I said, yes, I do believe God is calling me to marry this man. I'm just being honest about this. And I was so afraid to reveal that, because what if I'm wrong? And it turned out I was wrong.
And that's okay.
But none of you were like, well, could have told you that. Like, none of you were like, you fool. None of you were responding in the ways that I feared.
And you know why? Because we've all been wrong. Honestly.
Yes.
Honestly. Yeah.
And
at some point.
Exactly. But what you all have done for me that I can't say a lot of friends have kind of forced me in a way was, with marriage, you got to open up. You got to be transparent. And I didn't realize how closed I was, how protected and guarded I was. And there were certain areas of my life where, sure, I'm an open book. Yeah, I'll tell you, blah, 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 blah. But there was and is a depth that you all require out of me that other friendships weren't requiring me. And so I realized at some point that this need to open up and be transparent and take that risk of like, I'm sharing something that's scary to me was absolutely needed if I want to marry someone someday. I got to start practicing that now. And that's not to say that's all that's for, but I'm just saying I needed to be able to start opening up and being honest about my struggles, about my thoughts, about what I was so on, because I wasn't just going to magically do it
right
with someone.
Yeah.
So that's that's a moment for me. I don't know if any of you have other moments for you where specifically this friendship, or it could be other friendships, Shar, Giselle, and Farah, you all were married before we knew you, got married before we knew you. So it could even be speaking to before you got married, but how in particular how these friendships have helped you in some way either prepare or maintain.
Let me
Well,
tell you.
just want
Oh,
to
go.
say, I just got to jump in on the fact that, like, I love that you shared that story, because the only way you can get better at making good decisions is by just making decisions, period, and sort of discerning. So if that was an exercise in discernment, and if had you not been honest, either with yourself or with us, it would have kind of, slowed down or stumped because I mean, can you imagine now, like, how you read men and how you read people based on that, and what you learned about yourself, because you're like, oh, and I did it this way and I lined it up, because the reason why you came to that conclusion was not crazy. It made sense. It had very logical, you know what I mean? But the reality is, when we're trying to, like, either just follow God or make really good decisions for our lives, you don't know. There's no crystal ball. He's not coming down to say yes and no like that. And so you kind of have to build that over time. And I think the importance of friendship, it's kind of like a three-way mirror. Like, you're kind of looking one way and you're never going to see behind you. So we have a built-in blind spot that you can't fully see 360 all the time. You cannot. You know what you know, and what you know is decent. What you know is good. But the parts that, especially if someone loves you and cares about you and pays attention because you matter to them, like, it's always a safer way to present something that you're thinking about to someone that would not only choose something as good for you as you're choosing for yourself, but might even the more, because we'll probably compromise for someone else on the outside is like, oh, no, for whatever reason. So I think for me, like, that's one of the ways that friendship in general has helped. I am willing to hang back, like you said, when I see something that feels like, oh, wait, this is different. Because I know what it is to be nice, especially in Christian circles. We're nice. We're nice people. But you don't need nice just to walk through life with. You need honesty. You need respect. You need someone who dares to go there, like Sharnice did, and need that consistency. And when you can kind of see that there's enough character in the person to potentially carry out those things, where they are able to see you. There's nothing bigger than that. There's nothing better than that. And so it became priority to me to surround myself and to be among people that care the way I want to care, and that I want to be cared for. And so, so that's how, this group particularly, especially over time, it gets sweeter and sweeter over time.
That's good. That's good. Jess, what were you gonna say?
I don't know. I'll be like, that's why I be having to get things out right away, because I'm like, what was I gonna say? I don't even know. But no, because I'm trying to listen at the same time. But 22, Dad asked me, when do I want to get married? And I said, around 27, 28. And he said, okay, so just observe marriages, right? Obviously, we're past that age group, right? That age. But I noticed that I've always been around couples. Honestly, there's many times where I've been actually the third wheel, right? But sorry, friends. The couples have never made me feel like that. I think it was probably more me, right? No one ever made me feel like that. But anyway, meeting you guys, okay, there's another opportunity right now to observe, right? Because in our group, we have married people. And so that's what I've done. Not like, oh, let me just watch what they do. No, but it's just like overall, we've all become friends. I'm friends with your husbands. And just seeing you guys interact with each other and love on each other and not be perfect, right? Because you guys have shared some things too, just being transparent. I appreciate that. I appreciate the transparency that even you guys tell us as single women, the advice that you give us, right? See, what's the question? I want to look like, but no, going back to the fact that my dad was just like observe. That's what that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. That's the thing. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So I grew up with this, like, not grew up. So to a certain point in my teenage years, it was kind of like, wait, maybe up until my early 20s. Like, this is how marriage is. This is this way, one way, right? It's like, I don't want to be, if it's like this, I don't want to get married. Honestly, that's because very old school, and nothing is wrong with that. If it worked for my grandmother, that's fine. It's just, I think that when God understood my heart and trying to understand marriage and relationship, he was like, I'm gonna show you. Hence why my dad was like, observe. Okay. I felt like the Lord was speaking to him. The Lord was speaking to my dad, to me, like, observe. And God really, like, put me around couples where it wasn't just, honestly speaking, it wasn't the wife just doing everything. Like, it's like at the time, a lot of the marriages that I was seeing, it just seemed one-sided, right?
Yeah.
From everything, whether it was housework, making money, whatever. And I'm just like, God, this can't be it. This can't be it. I want to be married, but I don't know if I think I want to do it this way, right? So, like I said, God introducing me to different people that are married, and all the relationships were different. But I also saw just how the husband respected the wife. Wasn't like, you got to go with me everywhere. Like, you got to, and nothing is wrong with that. If that's what you want to do. But I just feel like God knew what I wanted, what I needed to see, what I needed to experience, that there was something different, that all relationships are different, that nothing, not one relationship is the same. And that's fine. That's okay. Everyone has their own thing. And that's what I appreciate. So, from you guys too. You rock, Donald. You rock, Akil. You rock, Manny.
That's right. Shout out to the men.
Okay, can you give me the full question? Because my mind has gone off on tangents connecting to each one of you. So that's why I'm like, wait, what's the original question?
Right.
A specific. So Jess had mentioned sort of how our friendship, how us coming into our life was on a different level, and so it was kind of a two-parter of like why. We kind of need to define what type of friends, not all friendships do for you the same thing. So, so kind of defining that. And then I gave an example of where y'all's friendship forced me to open up and be vulnerable, which I knew at some point I was like, this is helping me prepare for a husband someday where I will have to open up and not be so closed and take that risk of him seeing parts that I was afraid to show. But you all required that of me. So maybe a specific example too of how friendship, whether it's been ours or before you got married. I know like Tia and so forth, Farah and Tia, of how they helped prepare you or how it's helped you maintain a healthy marriage.
So I am going to use this example because I think it kind of creates, it kind of tells the story of this group, but then also the evolution of Farah and I's relationship over decades. Decades. I feel so old saying that, but anyway.
Don't say it.
So, okay. This example, it was an accident, but I've always kind of been working on my weight loss journey since I was 13. I remember the day I found out that I was 180 pounds at 13. And I was going down the escalator of the mall, and I just was devastated. I was just like, oh gosh, what's gonna happen? What's going on? At the time, that was kind of like the heaviest weight that I was. And so there's always been that big insecurity, especially since that was also what a lot of people tease me of, growing up anyway. So my weight has always been something that has been an insecurity, a thorn in my flesh. The thing that even in some ways, the thing that I hear God saying, well done, my good and faithful servant, so to speak, by how well I'm dealing with my weight. So during, I had already started working with my trainer during this one summer, and part of his thing was we had this private Facebook group, and so every now and then he would make us do these videos and post them on the private message group. So he was like, so proud of you, just make sure you post up that video, it's going to be so inspirational to the group and everything, so proud of you, blah. Okay, so I'm on the bus, I'm posting, send it off. Okay, good, I did my duty, I checked it off, whatever. And it's something to go through. It's easier for me to be in a group where I don't know anybody and fully just be like, whatever, I'm not going to see you again, or I'm only going to see you for a little bit, right? So, being in the group was also kind of like, okay, we're all working out together. I may see you next week, I may not see you next week, because everyone had different, I didn't have to think about building a relationship with them. And so it was easy for me to just post up, and I was also the heaviest in that group too. So it was kind of like when they saw me, lose weight and everything, they were like, yay, so proud of you, whatever. So just being able to share that was, inspirational to someone else's journey. But at this time, I accidentally put it on my private, not my private, I put it on my public page. And all of a sudden, I get all of these messages. And one of my students from my first year of teaching, he posted, he was like, I'm so proud of you, Miss J. And he shares it. So I was like, what in the world? It's actually the most viewed video on my feed. But I was just like, the embarrassment, the everything. And y'all were the first group y'all were the first people that I told. And I was like, well, who do I tell? How do I process this on my own? Do I sit here and cry on the bus? Do I? I was going through the motions, but this group was the first people I thought of sharing that vulnerable moment with. And I remember Farah saying, man, we've never talked about this. We've never explored this. She was like, I'm glad I'm able to see this part of you, but man. And so it caused us to even go on our own private journey outside of the group to really understand each other, to see each other, to hear each other, to apologize for the misunderstandings, to want to be better and show up for each other in a different way in the season of life that we were in, to learn each other in the season of life that we were in, because we met when we were just right out of high school. So, and as I told you, she met me at another insecurity time. She helped me build my security as a woman, and at learning independence and going through all of that. But I still wasn't as vocal I wasn't as I'm talking a lot, sorry. But I wasn't as open with what was going on in my heart and mind because I was still very insecure about sharing my full self. And then fast forward, what was that, 10 years later, maybe a little bit more than that, being able to be open and share these things. Now she's like, whoa, who is this woman? So she had to learn me all over again, and to learn me all over again and still say, I love you. And I still want to be your friend. Like that fills my love bucket all over again. But also what it showed me too is I needed to make sure that she knew that I loved her and valued her just as much as she loved me. And so how do I reciprocate that for her? And so and to intentionally make that decision for someone who is a friend, so to speak, and not someone who you have a covenant with and you have vows with. When I can do that for my sisters, oh, I'm dedicated to do that for my husband. So it definitely translates in that way. Like when I intentionally take the time to hear you, to see you, to listen when you say that I did something wrong and hurt your feelings, and I don't get defensive, well, how can I do that for you and not do that for him? And so when I find myself not doing that for him, it's very convicting.
You know, it's a real thing too. And I don't know if you guys experienced this. And I know lately we've been kind of MIA on Marco Polo, which is, guys, the platform that we use to stay connected a lot of times. Thank God for Marco Polo. Thank God.
Well, you see how much we talk. Could you imagine typing all that? Oh, no.
Right. But no,
there's no way.
Right. What I'm saying is the real thing for me is when I feel like I know we haven't talked in a long time and just life is just going on, I'm like, oh God, do they still think I'm a good friend? Are they, or like, what can I do? Like, what can I do really quick? Not really quick, but it's just like, I want to stay connected. So I'm all in my brain and my mind. I'm like, okay, what can I do to show that I'm still here? That I'm still, if they need me, that I'm still here.
Right.
Yes, life happens and time, goes on. Sometimes we don't talk as much as we want to, but I want y'all to know that y'all are on my mind, even when life is all over the place. I'm still right. Well, even if it's like a prayer in my head, I'm praying for y'all. So just want to put that out there.
Well, and something you were saying too about how you've evolved. You all met when you were 18 and you've evolved. It made me wonder, are we more apt to evolve with our friends? I've seen friends go from single to married to motherhood, and their life has changed. Communication has changed. Like you said, Jess, like there's just less time to connect, but there is also an understanding of like, oh, your life is crazy. And Shar, when you said, am I that gracious with my own husband, thinking about how with our friends, we understand like you're changing, you're evolving, you're developing, you're going into new roles. And are we extending, not me yet, but that idea of, I've heard a lot of people talk about how they have to keep up with who is their spouse because it changes and develops over time. And we can get stuck in, but this is what, when I married you, you were like this. It's like, but life happened. And so what you brought up, I think is a very, very important and real part of life, of how are we showing up for our friends as we change and evolve, and then extending that to a spouse. But I want to hear from other people.
I don't know why I feel like Giselle can speak to that. I'm calling her out because she's been with her husband since she was a teenager. So I mean, not teenager,
Well, I mean, I have my thing on mute because the baby was like being super loud, and I'm pretty sure you guys saw her pop up over here.
Yeah.
That's part of the kind of like journey, right? Motherhood. I mean, I love hearing from you all. Like you guys all shared like, I don't know, so much wisdom, and I know that perhaps I've been the one that has been married in any relationship the longest out of everybody. But I learned from each of you, even from you, Ruthie, and you, Jessica, who you know, in your season of singleness, you ladies share so much wisdom that I'm like, oh yes. With that being said, I mean, when Manny and I got together, we were young. Like number one, we were young, and number two, we were not. I mean, we didn't know the Lord. I mean, although we kind of like grew up a little bit with family members who knew God. We were like in our early 20s. We were babies. Like we didn't even know where we were. I don't know. And as you mentioned, you know, like in we kind of like evolve and grow, right, in different seasons. I obviously don't think the same way I thought when I was 20, 21. You know, oh geez, like if I think about like all the foolishness that I thought or even said. um with that being said, like, you know, like becoming a mom at 23, when I mean culturally kind of like that was a little late, like within my, you know, because I have two kind of like circles of friends, like those that became teen moms, and of course they had, you know, at this point they have kids who are already in college, and I'm like, ooh. And then, you know, some friends that perhaps, you know, or people that I know, like that I went to school with, who just became a mom, like just a few months before I had my third one. With that being said, you know, being in a season of like parenting three different ages, like teenager, almost a tween, and starting all over again with a newborn, yeah, it's like, okay, where am I? And then of course going through difficulties in marriage, which are expected to you know, especially in relationships that have been over a decade. And I'm so thankful that you know, I'm a social worker, right? And I kind of like have training in certain things, right? When it comes to like understanding stages of life and so forth. But having, for example, Farah, like have these conversations like, wait a minute, let's look at this. Like, okay, this stuff is expected to kind of like happen. And not only that, godly advice, so crucial. And like, you know, because when you're going through a difficult time, whether it's in marriage, whether it's in a personal, whether it's career wise, right, we've been in those situations as well. Having godly advice from a true sister who you could like pour out and cry it out, and ugly with boogers coming out, and you know, sorry for the graphics, and feeling like heard, like Shanice said, understood and value, right? Those were the three, is crucial in comparison to perhaps having someone who perhaps is not seeing her in value. Yes. Thank you. You know, like knowing that the advice and the that you're gonna receive is actually coming, you know, from God, and that they're gonna pray for you and pray with you, is crucial in maintaining, right, a marriage. Because I probably have a tons of friends that in any point, you know, I know the type of advice that I'm gonna get.
Right.
You know, no.
Now, that's true. That is so true.
So and challenging my thinking and exploring and kind of like being able, and I know that with each of you, I had the individual times which I'm so grateful, and the collectively as a group, like I'm putting everything like, oh, this is the mess, and how, and having the tribe individually and as a group, where like, okay, let's, you know, feeling that that love and that being seen. And like I said, I'm always like very reserved by nature. I know many of us, I don't know, I could say I'm the introverted with extroverted tendencies. That's how I like to describe myself. And I know that, we all kind of like have similar, kind of like personalities, but yeah, like being able to share the not so perfect of life, whether it's like in motherhood, whether it's in marriage, and not having to worry about being judged or being what's the word that I'm looking for, like, yeah, like going back to seeing hurt and value in that particular season, even if the season is messy and even if the season is not what perhaps it was expected, or yeah, or even when the future is even unknown, but trusting that God knows, and that perhaps I need the reminder from my sisters, that God remains in control even in the unknowns of life. So yeah, so for me that has been crucial. Still learning, still growing, and I'm thankful to God that the prayers of my tribe and the encouragement of my tribe has been pivotal in the kind of like moving forward to the next season and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I guess that's kind of like cliche, but yeah, so for me that has been crucial. So maintaining, yeah. Maintaining. So I'm just thankful for each one of you.
Dropping gems like she does, Rev Giselle.
I don't know.
Speaking truth. Yep. No, that was really good. Because I have said to people, or just whoever, like, this is a very pro-marriage group. So obviously you have to have a conversation with your spouse about, like, who are we comfortable talking about our marriage with? Because I firmly believe that is important, that you have at least a few people. And I'm very aware that each of you who are married share different levels or different amounts about your marriage. And that's I trust that whatever you share is allowed to be shared, but and that there's probably other people that you share different depths or different levels with. But the point being that this is not a group where if you should say something where we're going to be like, oh, that guy, gosh, what is wrong with your no, it's like we're going to help each other see a different perspective and keep going. And so I've always said that my man someday will want me to spend time with you all. Like, please go hang out with the ladies. Please get out of here. Because I will probably come back like a much more loving, wife, respectful wife.
So thankful for our retreats, by the way.
Exactly. Save the date. Farah, we got to hear from you, girl.
Man,
yes. Mm-hmm.
I've honestly, I didn't expect for my love tank to be so filled today. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm realizing how much well, one thing I was thinking about, because I didn't come from, in terms of my family, watching a marriage that survived. I watched one not just fall apart, but like brutally tear apart. Thankfully, not so much physically with them toward one another, but our home, our daily rhythms. I didn't come from a stability model. And I think, honestly, why I have enjoyed this, I wanted to be really careful about this because I feel like being a Christian is one of the most practical things that ever took place in life for me. I thought I was one as a little kid, and I found out that when a friend of mine, and this would probably be my original tribe, which we were very young, so there were things that weren't quite as safe, but now they're beautiful. Now we're like, oh my gosh, but at like 8, 9, 10 years old, and we were trying to figure out how to talk to each other and how to advise each other. I remember them asking me point blank one day, so how do you know you're a Christian? And I was like, what? Like, I didn't know how to, like, who asked that at 8, 9, and 10 or whatever? And I was like, and I remember, I can remember right now my body, like how scared I was to answer this question because I didn't know. I just was like, because I just am like, and I said something about being a good person, and they like they laughed like I was on stage, and I told the best joke in the world, and I was like, oh no. And but thankfully, it was the first thing that opened my eyes that that I truly didn't know what I believed. Like I believed in Jesus, but I didn't really understand, like what salvation was. And so I go to that backdrop only to say, as you journey with people and as you're kind of growing up too, you learn so much more about yourself and you learn so much more about what you believe and how those things are carried out. So I um, I think what I wanted to mention about us is that, what I love about like even what Shar was mentioning, again, you think you know so much, you think you know yourself, you think you know what you want. But it wasn't until you have to like journey with somebody through things, your stuff, their stuff, and then find out if you're gonna be met with love, find out if something that you do triggers them and back and forth. And so technically these are things that I got to cultivate, not because I truly learned them in my house. Like I knew how to yell from my house. I knew how to get angry quick in my house. I knew how to distract myself and do something else when something needed to be talked through from my house. But it was through my friends. Like I bond so much with that scripture that talks about like having a friend that's like a brother, something like that. And so friends and family are they're very overlapped for me. And so yeah, so I love that, something again, because when you see instability growing up and that's all you kind of crave and long for, you try to cultivate that elsewhere and it doesn't always work. So I'm thankful now that decades in, Shar is able to say, seen and heard. I missed the last one, but seen, heard, and valued. That's exactly what I've had an opportunity to cultivate through my adult years. And it was the thing that actually prepared me for marriage. And it is the thing that continues to keep me grounded when a little girl part of myself is like, but why? I feel like he doesn't like me today. And then whatever, insecurity, anxiety may come up from that, I have this other space that sort of reminds me who I am and reminds me of my own value. And then that ends up giving me strength. My husband can have a bad day. He can want to be by himself that day. I don't take that personal. Like you kind of value the individual person and it doesn't impact you as much. So I don't know. I know I went a lot of places, but I think having core tribes that you are always connected to that kind of help you see who you are helps you across the board. So damn.
Wow.
I think also one of the things that I was hearing as a through line is that we've brought up prayer. We've brought up encouraging one another through the word. We've brought up asking the hard questions, creating the safe space. And I think about THL. And first of all, THL through his lens, like I really feel that we live into helping each other to see situations through God's lens as often as we could. I think it just naturally flows in our conversations with one another. And when I think about like, I don't know if you've ever seen this. It's a graphic. It's a triangle where God is at the top of the triangle, and then you have the husband and the wife on the base. And the closer you both get to God, the smaller the base. Ruth bringing in the math and the geometry, the smaller the base is, and as the smaller the base, that means that you're becoming closer to one another, right? And a lot of times, naturally, because we are working to support one another in our journeys with the Lord, we are helping to cultivate the closeness that we are receiving with the Lord. It is naturally helping us become closer to our husbands as well. Because we're really sharpening each other to see things through God's lens, to seek the Lord, to pray, to fast, to see the Lord in a different way, to get those understandings. And that's just overflowing into all the other parts of our lives. And then I just remembered, Giselle has the shirt on, Exhort, Awaken, Unite. And, those are our pillars. As we continue to do that with one another, it just naturally brings us closer. So yeah, I hope that kind of rounds it all.
Excellent. Yeah, I think so. And I think, kind of as an add-on, how much you all have helped me understand even my own purpose and calling. And so I think having people to speak in and say, did you know you're gifted in this? And that was something I noticed right away with all of you, is you all speaking into my giftings, that I was like, whatever. And you're like, no, hello. I really have thought about how whoever I marry someday will have partly you all to thank, of like, thank you for helping, because I'm not the same woman that I was a year ago, even 2 months ago. Because part of it is you all have spoken so much into me, and you've helped me do hard things. That's like my phrase this season of life, is like, do hard things. And you all have been like, go after it, girl. Let's go. Let's do it. Get it going. And I could not have done that on my own. I know, Jess, you can speak to that too. And then we'll go into our final question.
Actually, I was going to say, I am actually outside of a worship conference that I have to attend. So I just kind of want to give some last few words before I get off. Yeah, you guys definitely bring out a lot within me. I was thinking about, this actually has nothing to do with, but Farrah, first of all, to Future Bay, if you're looking at this, Farrah's prayers are, you're going to want to thank her, honestly, for her prayers, because her prayers are like bullets to like relationships that are not supposed to happen, just so I can get to you. No, but I'm going around. I appreciate your prayers, Farrah. You guys have been married. You know what goes with relationships, what it entails, and the ups and the downs and the joys, everything. And so when you pray for me, and whenever I tell you that I like someone, you like, all right, let's pray. Let's pray about it, right? And the prayers are so specific and intentional. And, obviously I'm single now, so obviously those weren't the ones God had for me. And I do believe that your prayers play an important role in it. Giselle, you continuously remind me of how a relationship with God is just important in life, period. And for the sake of this conversation, marriage, so just I want to say strength, right? I don't know, for some reason these days now, when you tell a woman she's strong, it's looked at weird, right? Like, she don't have to be strong, but no, like, you don't waver. Mm-mm. Like, regardless of what happens in life, what goes on, don't get me wrong, I know you're human, and yes, we have our vulnerable and moments like that, but you've definitely taught me that just the importance of having an intimate relationship with God, because regardless of what goes on around with life, like, he's the focus. That's the one that's going to bring victory in the end, honestly. So I appreciate you. Sharnisi Poo, the leadership that comes from you, that exudes out of you, like, you, honestly, there are times when, and you may be like, well, you guys help me in these ways, but you are helping me you're bringing out, I feel like a lot of the leadership roles, things that I've taken on that I'm scared of, stem from you, right? And it creates this, look at that woman right there. And going back to marriage, I feel like when future babe meets me, he's gonna be like, whoa, look at those characteristics. And a lot of that, honestly, I look at you and I'm just like, she's focused. She loves the Lord. I can tell that you have a personal relationship with the Father, and it shows in your marriage. I was dating somebody, and it was like, they really love each other. They were looking, they really like, look at them. Yes, and I know that stems from your relationship with Christ. And so I know that that's important. The foundation got to be Christ. Future baby, the foundation got to be Christ, okay? Wherever you are, right? And Ruthie, yes, we just happen to be in the same singleness season, right? Girl, it's like the same age, same season. We're in the same. I just feel like when I first met you, I was just like, it's divine. Like, this relationship is absolutely divine. You have prayed over me. You have listened. You have told me, I don't even think that was, I don't know. Like you said, trying to get me to look at it from a different perspective, the other person's side. You love talking about love with me. Like, let's talk about love. Let's just talk about love from different aspects, friendship, love, relationships with coworkers, everything. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate you being transparent with me, understanding, honest, giving me the word, right? When it's like, all right, so where can we go? Like, well, this is what the word says. Whatever ideas I come up with, whatever, you're just like, yes, let's go, let's do this. So each one of you have played just a vital role in my journey to marriage. And when I say, if I'm gonna tell him to thank y'all when we giving up and at the wedding, I'm gonna be like, don't even look, it's them right here. They did that, right? So yeah, I love you guys. I have to go in and use the bathroom. Sorry guys, I have to use the bathroom.
That was
But I
beautiful.
love y'all. I
We
do.
love you. That was
Yes.
amazing. Thank you for
I was
gracing
find
us.
out, Jess.
Love you, Jess.
Love you. So guys.
All right, so I just want to wrap up because I want to respect everyone's time and so forth with this question. How would you respond to someone who says, I love what you all have. I crave that. I need that in my life, but I don't have that. What do I do, or how can I get there? So what would be some really practical advice or tips that you would give to people who are looking for that?
If you build it, they will come. Field of dreams. That kind of has been my motto, and I didn't realize it, but I didn't realize how much that has followed me since I saw that movie as a little girl. But if you build it, they will come. And I think it also couples with the scripture that I brought up before. If you want friends, you have to first show yourself friendly.
Yeah.
And so it's like a lot of times where I feel like, oh man, I need this, I want this, I'm searching for this. Create the opportunity for it and just allow people to come. In needing community, hey, let's put together a get together and create the opportunity for it to come. And then also show up when someone asks you to, like a lot of times we can pray for something and be like, oh Lord, give me a sign that this is where I'm supposed to go. And someone's like, hey, how about you come and join this? And you're like, so it calls for being courageous And that does not mean being fearless, though. It doesn't mean not to have the insecurities will be there, the doubts, the fears, but being courageous is still doing it despite. And I think we all had to be courageous in our relationship with one another. And so I would say the same thing, be courageous. Yeah.
Do it afraid.
So build it and do it afraid. That's right.
Do hard
it
things.
afraid. Do it hard things. Yes. Just do it. That's another phrase.
Just do it. We just need to start like a clothing line of just all these little like, if you build it, they will come. Just do it. Do hard things. Do it afraid. Pick your. That's good.
Hashtag I do it afraid.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. No, it's funny. That's very close to the first thing that I was thinking is that take a risk on things that feel worth it. So opportunities and people, if it feels really worth, like, wow, like if it wows you, that's what you take a risk on. I would also say when you're meeting new people, if you are in the process of taking that risk and trying to seek that out and create that, bring them around the people that you trust. So the people that are trusted people, a parent, a mentor, whoever it might be, even sometimes younger people too, they'll be like, not that one. They'll see things and they'll be very unguarded. So I would say early on, invite them into the spaces and with the people that you already trust that have an established, space in your life. And I would also, so this is a phrase that I use often and it works in a series of situations. Do not shop at the grocery store when you're hungry. So if you're starving for relationship, slow down. Reconnect with with the people that you already love and trust and already love and trust you. Get established in that warmth first and in that goodness, and then take that with you as you are kind of seeking that out. Because you will always, 100% of the time, make compromises that you wouldn't have otherwise made if you're coming from a healthy place. So.
I would say definitely do it afraid. That's in this season of my life. I think in the past few, I would say 2 years, it's been doing it afraid, personal and then of course in the professional arena. But then when it comes to relationships, just in general, friendships, marriage, I think trusting God in the process. When I say that is, I know that sometimes we have to let our guard down. Definitely get yourself a tribe like ours. Make sure you have someone who pours in you, prays for you and with you, and definitely get you a tribe that there's someone who will pull out the oil, the anointing oil, and is gonna pray. And I know that Jessica's not here, and I know she definitely talked about Farah's prayers, but I could definitely go back to particular moments where each of you have prayed bold prayers in our situations collectively, in the middle of the retreats or in the middle of worship, and it's the Holy Spirit has taken over. And even Jessica's bold prayers, and definitely there's testimonies behind that. Trusting God in the process will be a theme for me. And then the process is the journey. And the journey could be messy, ugly, and being strong in the Lord has been, I know that you guys like to highlight my strength, but it is being strong in the Lord. Because if it was not for God, definitely, seek God. If you're in a moment in your life where you're questioning life and it's just God is definitely the key, the center. Putting God first and trusting him in the process.
That's good. Oh, go ahead, Char.
No, I was going to say, 'cause before I know you wrap up, we all talked about being insecure and vulnerable and talking about doing it afraid, things of that nature. I think also protecting ourselves from comparison as well. One thing that Jess pulled out before she had to leave was how each person played a different role in her life. And part of being seen, heard, and valued is really being able to be your full self in whatever capacity that you are. And then also knowing that the contribution that you make is amazing and it's valued and it's needed. If you try to do something that someone else is supposed to do, first of all, that's too much in the mix, you know, and it will throw the group off balance. But then also, then who's filling your role?
Mm.
Because there's something there. And I'll never forget a sermon that our college minister prayed. It's okay to be a big toe, and I will never forget. I will never forget it. It's so comical, but it shows, just like even with, you know, there's no one too small or too great in this group. Everyone has a contribution and it's needed. Without the big toe, we would be falling and stumbling all over the place because it's there for balance.
Right.
So God placed us together for a reason and a purpose, and knowing where we are and cultivating that is what we should be doing instead of comparing. So anytime you find yourself comparing yourself to the others within the group, you know, that's time for some introspection and really seeking the Lord, and asking him, like, Lord, please remind me, because you don't make no junk. So please just remind me why I'm here and why I'm important, and fully live into that.
Yeah, that's good. I think it was, I was thinking about how assume if you're insecure, so is everyone else. So if you're feeling like, oh, but what if they're probably feeling, assume other people are feeling the same way too, and that they're actually craving for people to reach out to them. And so I think we always want people to reach out to us, but we're afraid to reach out to other people. And so this kind of goes on just with what everyone else said, is be aware of your own insecurities and be willing to invite someone to coffee, go get dinner. I mean, honestly, what are they going to say to you? That's what I had to break down with my own self, is what if Sharnice and Farah say, no, we actually don't have room to have dinner with you. Nope. Like, they wouldn't have said that, but I was like, even if they did though, give it a go, give it a try. You know what I'm saying? So it was like the worst case scenario. It's not death. You're not going to die. It's, no, we don't want to hang out with you, point blank. And then if they're being that blunt about it, I guess I don't want to hang out with you either. So good to know, like it just, I ran the worst case scenario. But the point is that assume other people are actually craving for you to reach out to them. And there was something else with that too. Something, Shar, you were saying that struck me and I can't remember it. Maybe with comparison. I don't know. This was all very good though. So pick something. Oh, prayer. Just emphasizes that too, how much she was praying. We've all said how much we were praying or longing for this. Don't neglect prayer and for God to guide you and highlight people to you. Highlight. There's a funny way of just you seeing something or you having a brief conversation with someone that will just resonate with you, and you're like, no, I want to spend more time with that person. And I think too, if I look back at my life, I mean, God has provided friends all throughout my life for various seasons, and different seasons of life have required different levels of friendship,
Mhm.
to be clear. So I have amazing friends still outside of you all, amazing friends that have come along in very important seasons of my life, and I needed just what they brought at that time. And I think as he's brought us together, he's brought us together for a unique time of our life. I mean, I pray it's long till death do us part, you know what I'm saying? But in terms of at least connecting and staying connected with each other, of course, but the point is, I could not go into some of the things God wants me to without you all. So he brings people along for various seasons of your life, and be okay with some of those friendships not dying in a bad way, like, I hate you, bye, like, not like that, but just like, we're in a different season of life, and that requires different levels of friendship and different levels of people pushing you and prodding you. So in other words, trust that God, you pray, you ask that he will bring friends into your life that will meet the needs of what your season has for you. Any other final words before we wrap up?
I know I love iron. What is it called? Oh my God.
Yeah, iron sharpening iron.
Yeah, no. I'm checking on your other toes. I don't know why that came into my mind. I'm actually glad to be part of. We're five, so.
Wow, I don't know if I'll ever see that the same. That's
I
amazing.
love it. Check in on your other toes.
Light hits you on one of those toes and it hurts. Check in on your other toe.
I cannot. That sounds like a perfect way to end. All right. Check in on your other toes. All right. And don't overthink this one and be like, am I the pinky toe? Am I the middle
Oh,
toe?
no,
Am I the
all
hairy
so
toe?
important.
Don't overthink
All
it.
the
people.
different things.
they're all important
Are.
and serve a purpose.
That was amazing. Yes, that is the perfect way to end. On that note, check in on your toes. And what was the title of that sermon, Sharnice? Everyone needs a big toe.
It's okay to be a big toe.
It is okay to be a big toe. It's okay to be a pinky toe.
We'll take
Yeah.
turns of being the big toe and the little toe, and yep.
But it's true because we do support one another in the things that we are doing in life. You know, we all, like Jess has her specs. Ruthie, you have heartbeats. You know, there's so many different things that we all, that's what this tribe also does. And hopefully this is the last thing that we say, but there's so many things that we do for each other.
Right.
But we give each other, we have this safe space to be us so that we can go out.
Yes.
And we can, you know, reach the world in whatever capacity that we have in connection. And it's a lot of ways. You know, I just did a training on culture, and y'all, a picture of us was a part of, you know, my 3 layers of culture. And I said, you know, the way I interact with these layers of culture directly influences how I'm interacting and showing up for you all today. And so it truly is, it is important in the people that you are surrounding yourself with, because it really does help and strengthen and buoy you to go outside of the group and influence even marriages too.
Yeah.
So,
Wow,
you know,
that's
so
beautiful.
yeah.
Thank you, ladies. This was lovely. And I look forward to talking to you in like 2 seconds after I hit stop recording. Okay. Bye, everyone.